This is the place to talk Tigers, Gamecocks, and more. Sports talk across the state on the South Carolina Radio Network.
We are back with you, Sports Talk South Carolina Radio Network. Appreciate you joining us on this Friday night heading into your weekend. Did you know 2.5 million children and adults suffer traumatic brain injuries annually? March is Brain Injury Awareness Month, and to learn more and to help the Brain Injury Alliance research, educate, and advocate for survivors of brain injury, please visit their website, which is biaofsc.com, biaofsc.com. Clemson and Kansas off and running in Omaha. It's an 11-8 Kansas lead at this point. The Tigers off to a 44% start from the floor, 4 of 9. Kansas at 36%. Looking for any particular trends here, Clemson is leading in rebounds 8-6, but the big number that jumps out at you, 4 turnovers by the Tigers in the first 6.5 minutes.
Can't turn it over against Kansas, but Kansas is a little bit porous inside defensively. Saw a couple of opportunities where Clemson did take advantage of some good interior passing to score. So if they can do that and not turn the ball over, keep those turnovers to a minimum, they can win this ball game. You could tell. You just got a feeling.
No Tiger has scored more than 2 points. Donnell, DeVoe, Thomas, and Scarra, each with a bucket for the Tigers. For Kansas, Newman, 2 of 3 from the floor, leading with 4 points thus far. So it's early, 13-12 to go, and still very close, 11-8, Kansas leading over Clemson. We update the baseball once again, take a look at the scoreboard, and Clemson leading Louisville 3-1. They're in the top of the 6th now. South Carolina and Georgia, they are scoreless in the bottom of the 1st. However, Georgia has a threat, 2nd and 3rd, with 1 out following a walk and a double. So 2nd and 3rd with 1 out. John Gilreath on the mound for South Carolina tonight. And Coastal now up 6-0 on Texas State in the bottom of the 6th. Keeping an eye on those 3 games for you tonight here on Sports Talk. The full Monty on NASCAR, Monty Dutton, will join us here at the bottom of the hour, and we'll catch up with him on all the activities around NASCAR. Now, tomorrow in Wilmington, North Carolina, it's the annual Carolinas Classic high school basketball all-star game. They have moved it from Myrtle Beach to Wilmington, North Carolina for this year and perhaps longer. Who knows? They did a great job with it in Myrtle Beach for a number of years, but they have given it up, and it's moved to Wilmington, North Carolina. The games will be played at Hoggard High School in Wilmington if you're planning on going to watch it. The girls' game will begin at 6:30. The boys' game will begin at about 20 minutes after that. So to refresh your memory on this, here are the rosters for the South Carolina boys team. Jermaine Patterson, 5'10", out of Bluffton, who's committed to Queens. 6'3", Shelton Brown from West Ashley. 6'4", Kevin Williamson from Aiken. 6'9", Robert Braswell from Blythewood. 6'1", Bradley Childers from Gaffney. 6 foot Alex Caldwell from Wilson, who's headed to Southeast Missouri State. 6'10", Isaiah Moore from Sumter, who will play at the College of Charleston. 6'7", Jimmy Nichols of Conway, headed to Providence. 6'5", Shaq Davis of Somerville, going to South Carolina State to play football and basketball. And 6'6", Winston Hill from Irmo. You might be wondering, well, where's Zion? Where's Zion Williamson? Well, I don't believe he's eligible for this game because he doesn't play in the public schools. He plays in the private school sector. And to my knowledge, this game has always been for the kids that play in the public school system. So that's the roster for the South Carolina boys all-star team. The North Carolina team has some very good players. For example, they've got almost every one of their players has committed or signed with somebody, including Clemson signee 6'8" Hunter Tyson out of Piedmont, North Carolina. And let's see, they've got they have great size on their team. They've got 6'8" Caleb Malden, 6'7" Jaden Gardner, 6'7" Dravon Mangum, 6'8" Rashawn Black's probably the most heralded of the players on the North Carolina team. He signed with North Carolina. 6'6" Isaiah Bigelow. So it's a very large North Carolina team, as it always is, Pro. This has been an event that, for the most part, has been dominated by the North Carolina teams.
Well, they got so many players there, and of course, a large concentration of their players. If you got an athlete in South Carolina, they might gravitate, if they're not too tall, they're going to gravitate to football. In North Carolina, if you start to grow them big, you know where they're going. They're going into basketball.
Yeah. You're right about that. I mean, let's face it, the mindset in the two states, completely opposite of one another. One prefers basketball, always has. The other leans more towards football. Now, for the girls roster for the South Carolina team, to tell you who will be playing there, you've got 5'5" Quinn Bird from Hillcrest. She's going to Limestone. 5'1" Cytherea Sullivan of Strom Thurmond. 5'5" Madison Smith of Greenville, who's going to West Virginia. 5'9" Jordan Strange of AC Flora, going to Georgia Southern. 6 foot Alexis Tomlin of Carolina Forest. 6 foot Amari Young of North Augusta, going to Old Dominion. She was the Gatorade Player of the Year in the state. 5'11" Skylar Blackstock from Wando, going to Clemson. 6'1" DeAsia Gregg of Wilson, going to Georgia Tech. 5'10" Madison Golden of Dutch Fork, headed to Newberry. And 5'10" Rikoya Anderson of Rock Hill, headed to Winthrop. The head coach is Faye Norris from Dutch Fork, assisted by Shara Hopkins from Clover. Looking at the North Carolina team, just seeing who they've got going where. They've got one girl going to NC State, one going to Georgetown, one going to UCLA. So might be a little more fairer battle in the girls' game than in the boys matchup. But looking forward to it tomorrow. We'll cover it for you on Twitter at SportsTalkSC and post-game coverage on our website, SportsTalkSC.com. Oh, look who's in the crowd in Omaha. It's Magic. Irvin Magic Johnson. I wonder who he is eyeballing for the Lakers. What do you think? Or is he eyeballing somebody for the Dodgers?
That's interesting. Might be looking at Malik Newman, who's scored half of Kansas's points so far, 7. He transferred from Mississippi State.
Yeah, they just got another inside basket coming off a timeout. Azubuike, who got back in the starting lineup tonight, scores inside for Kansas to make it a 16-10 game. Tigers down to 40% shooting now, 4 of 10. And so Kansas has that 6-point lead at this point. And, of course, there are more games coming up here in the night of the Sweet 16, the second night of the Sweet 16. You've got West Virginia and Villanova tipping off right about now on TBS. Following the Clemson-Kansas game in Omaha, it'll be Syracuse and Duke, and then you've got Texas Tech and Purdue. Of course, Magic could be there watching, like you said, Newman. Listen, I think Marquise Reed has got NBA future in him. I know the size might be a little bit of a problem, Pro, but his ability to handle, create his own shot. In the NBA, as well as anybody, as big a fan as you are, to be able to create your own shot off the dribble is huge, and he can do that. And I wouldn't be surprised if he didn't get a chance somewhere, maybe not this year, but after his senior year at Clemson, assuming he comes back and has a big year, I could see him getting a shot in the league somewhere.
Yeah, and the key point is with his size, he's not only have to play point guard, but he'd have to show that he can finish through contact, because they allow a lot more go underneath that basket at the NBA level than they do in college.
Yeah, Donnell, no contest on that inside move by Azubuike, who looked like he hit him with an elbow. Did you see the elbow shot he gave Donnell to the ribs there on the replay? It wasn't very nice. All right, we'll hit a break. When we come back, going to talk NASCAR, the full Monty on NASCAR with Monty Dutton coming up. right, coming up in just a moment here on Sports Talk, the full Monty on NASCAR. We remind you to check out foundersfcu.com. Learn how they can assist you in all of your financial needs. All right, let's update everything for you. Kansas getting a dunk, very loud dunk before a timeout. Dunk by Sousa on a pass from Graham, 25-19. Kansas leading Clemson, 7:31 to play in the half. Clemson calling a timeout after that dunk. Baseball, Georgia with a 2-0 lead on South Carolina as they play the top of the second. And Clemson leading Louisville 3-1, bottom of the sixth. Coastal 7-0 on Texas State in the bottom of the sixth. The Citadel has taken a 4-0 lead on Western Carolina. That's in the sixth. Wofford leading Mercer 3-2. That's in the fourth. Upstate on top of Dayton 3-0. That's in the sixth. College of Charleston 2-0 on William and Mary. That is in the sixth inning. Furman and Wichita State scoreless in the top of the first. And in the second of two, Winthrop leading Longwood 1-0. That's in the sixth. Eagles have already won a game against Longwood today 4-3. And PC beat Charleston Southern today 7-4. With that, we welcome Monty Dutton of MontyDutton.com for some NASCAR talk here on Sports Talk, the full Monty on NASCAR, as we're in Martinsville, Virginia this weekend. It's going to be pretty cold up there, isn't it, Monty?
Yes, there's a chance of snow, I'm told.
Yeah. How does that affect?
There's a chance of rain both tomorrow and both tomorrow. You know, it's funny, but because of the fact that Martinsville is in the, October, November, and the fall, I just think of being cold when I think of Martinsville.
Yeah. I mean, so how does that affect? How does that affect everything in terms of preparation and how they set up the cars and all of that? Does that impact things?
Well, it particularly will because they're having a shortened weekend. The truck cars have not been on the track yet. Qualifying is tomorrow after the truck race. Well, they did have a practice session. I'm wrong, but they won't qualify till tomorrow. And today was very pleasant up there. So there's not much time to get everything ready. On the other hand, Martinsville is a flat, short track. So I really don't think that the nuances of handling that have such an effect on an intermediate track like the one at Fontana or Las Vegas, I think it's more just, the driver sliding around at Martinsville. So I don't think that, it's as difficult as fine-tuned, and that's probably why they're having a shortened weekend.
Mm-hmm. Kansas up on Clemson now 25-19. Full Monty on NASCAR here on Sports Talk. So what are the key elements to winning a race there? As I recall, the brakes take a real beating there because you're going, of course, at a pretty good speed on that short track, and they're on the brakes a lot, and brake wear is something that's part of the formula for winning a race there?
Well, brakes are much better quality than they were 10 years ago, and it's less of a factor. As a matter of fact, I think most of the veteran drivers will probably have not too much problem unless there's some failure. But there will be somebody who is a young hot shot who hasn't been there a lot, and he'll have those molten brakes. You can see through it. There will be people who are knocked out of contention or become a lot slower because they don't have any brakes on Sunday, but it's not as prevalent as it once was. Yeah.
And, of course, there's a lot of bumping and grinding, a lot of fender bending going on. Tempers, they rise in this race because we've seen many times look like somebody's going to be heading to victory. Somebody gets a nose up underneath them, spins them out, and a lot of controversy happens in races at Martinsville, the way some of these things have ended.
Martinsville is the ultimate track of rubbing is racing because the speeds aren't high enough that it's likely for someone to get hurt there. In its most elemental level, Martinsville is sort of like if you went to the state fair and rode the bumper cars, except instead of trying to hit people, you tried to avoid them. And what happens there is, I think Martinsville is a track where what you try to do is you try to keep the car clean for the first 400 laps, and then become a bully in the last 50. I think that, for instance, at Bristol, it's that way. The Bush brothers have always been effective at keeping the car strong till the end, and then they start, knocking people out of the way. And so Martinsville, almost surely the winner will have some dents on his car, but I think it's a matter of not getting those dents until the race is near the end.
Last week, Martin Truex Jr. reminded everybody why he won the championship last year. That was a strong performance, maybe just the beginning for them here in 2018 of putting something together.
Yes. I mean, he's been strong, but he just hadn't come through. I really think that the loss of that race is that in the middle of that race, there was some real good racing between Truex and Kyle Busch. And at the end, Truex pulled away, I think principally because in Kyle Busch's last pit stop, you can see it on film, the crewman who's supposed to take weight, who's got the jack bolt in the back window, he's supposed to be turning it clockwise, supposed to be turning it counterclockwise, and he turns it. So instead of adjusting one way, he made it double bad the other. And Busch wasn't. He actually turned the wrench. He started like he made like a quarter of a turn the right way, and then reversed it a full turn the other way. And instead of the car being slightly loose, it became violently loose, and it was all Busch could do to keep Truex in sight.
Monty, they have been racing at this track since 1947. It started as a dirt track. It was paved in 1955. Now, going back to the time when NASCAR started to close tracks, especially Rockingham and North Wilkesboro, for example, why did they decide to close North Wilkesboro and leave Martinsville open?
Well, Martinsville does have a lot more seats. It goes to show you that if you'll wait 10 years, you find that everything in NASCAR is a lie. Because Wilkesboro claimed they had 60,000 people at their races until the moment that Bruton Smith and Bob Baer each bought part of it, at which point it miraculously had 37,000 seats. Martinsville, when they used to list their crowds as 90,000. And the minute that the Earls family sold out to ISC, although his grandson is still the president, it all of a sudden went from 90,000 to 60,000.
Uh-huh.
And so I always told them, we got to sell out. I said, that's crazy. You got 30,000 less than last year, Yeah. But I mean, it goes to show you, it's not just racing, but it's all, I remember when I was a boy and they said that the biggest sporting event in South Carolina was Darlington. And so Darlington, when I was 10 years old, allegedly had 80,000 people. Now they got twice as many seats and it's 60,000.
Right, right.
So you have to watch it. But Martinsville has always been larger than North Wilkesboro. And, North Wilkesboro, even though Martinsville is in the middle of nowhere, it's a lot closer to civilization than Wilkesboro is. It's like not very far from Greensboro and Winston-Salem. Right. Winston-Salem's not too far from Wilkesboro. But, I miss North Wilkesboro because North Wilkesboro was truly, right up until the end of their time, they were truly still the home of the moonshine industry, Martinsville is rural Virginia, and I've always had a great time going there. There's things that you do there that you just don't do in Las Vegas, like go to a high school gym and watch pro wrestling.
Monty, we thank you, my man. Great stuff as always. Have a great racing weekend. We'll talk to you next week.
All right, much obliged, Phil. Take care.
All right, thank you. And quick update, Kansas kind of spreading things out here.
Yeah, Elijah Thomas getting frustrated underneath the basket. Seems like he's not getting any calls on contact.
Now back to Sports Talk, South Carolina's most listened to sports talk show for more than 30 years.
In a very busy edition of Sports Talk, it has been on this Friday night. Let's update everything for you. Kansas now leading Clemson 31-22, 3:43 to play in the half, a 6-0 run for Kansas over the last 3 minutes. DeVoe has 9 for the Tigers, who are 2 of 7 from 3. And it is Azubuike leading the way for Kansas with 8. In the other game ongoing tonight, it's Villanova leading West Virginia 22-20. Update the baseball. Clemson 3-1 on Louisville, middle 7. Georgia 2-0 on USC, top 3. And we've been watching the Coastal game for you as well. 7-0 Coastal over Texas State, bottom of the 7th.
Quickly,
as we've been talking about tonight. Yes, Pro?
No, I was saying quickly, Corn, the interesting, weird thing about this, Kansas has a 9-point lead. They haven't been to the free throw line yet.
Until now.
Yes. This is their first trip to the free throw line.
Just had a clunker. As we were talking earlier tonight, this is also All-Star Weekend in the Carolinas. The Carolinas All-Star Classic games be played at Hoggard High School in Wilmington, North Carolina. Tomorrow night, Coach Tim Morris, the head coach of the South Carolina boys team, is joining us from Wilmington. Good evening, Coach. How are you?
Good evening. Good evening.
Good to have you with us. And yes, sir, and good luck with your guys tomorrow night, and good luck with the girls as well. First of all, tell us about your practice sessions, how things have gone, and how this team has kind of come together quickly.
It has been quickly. We came in yesterday, got all the players in about 3 o'clock, and we went straight to work. We had practice, and then they fed us and feeding us well here in Wilmington. And today we've practiced twice, and we've been to an elementary school. The guys and the girls both have been to different elementary schools in the area, and they played with them and read to them in their classrooms. And then we went to a boys and girls club this evening earlier, about 4 o'clock, 5 o'clock, and we did a clinic at the Boys and Girls Club in downtown Wilmington area. It just happened to be the Boys and Girls Club that Michael Jordan grew up in, where he was a member of back when he was a young kid.
That had to be special.
That has been special. The guys like that, and they bought into it. They took a lot of ownership of the things they've asked them to do, because they've been doing a lot of service. They've been served, and they've been served well by the Wilmington people and North Carolina Association. But they have done a great job. I think all our guys have just really, they've shined on and off the court.
That's fantastic. Let's talk about your team. I mean, you've got 10 guys, and you've got to work them all in throughout the game, so you'll be constantly running in either individuals or groups of 5 or whatever. At this point in time, though, through your practice sessions, have you seen a couple of guys really stand out for you?
They've all done really well in practice. I think one that has stood out to me and shot the ball so well has been Robert Braswell from Blythewood. Mm-hmm. He has really done an excellent job. Jimmy Nichols from Conway, Isaiah Moore from Sumter. Those guys have really shined and done well. All of them have. Winston Hill there from Irmo there in Columbia. He's done a great job too.
Well, from having watched these All-Star games since the inception, a couple of things that you take away. Number one, for a lot of the game, there's not a lot of defense being played. Maybe when things are tight down the stretch, the defense picks up. And number two, the team that can control the basketball and not turn it over a great deal is going to have a good chance to win the ball game. So my question is, do you have a team that likes to play defense? Can you get them to play some defense? And number two, how well will you protect the basketball?
Yeah, that's a good basketball analogy you've got there for us, because that's what you got to do as a coach. That's what I tell my teams back home. We can score, but we got to stop somebody. I stopped them today. We were scrimmaging and we were going up and down the court, scoring and doing well. I stopped them and I said, guys, listen, we all know that if you weren't good enough to be on this team, you can score. You're offensive. You can do that. All 10 of you can do that. But the team that comes together and will play some defense and get some defensive stops, that's the team that will win the game. because the North Carolina team, they're very skilled. They're an excellent team. They got players going to Virginia Tech, Clemson, North Carolina, UNC Charlotte. They got some really good players. But if we can stop them defensively, that's what we have to do. And take, like you said, take care of the ball. And I believe that we can do that. They know that they've got to play defense and that they've got to have several defensive stops to be successful in this game.
Yeah. North Carolina does have a huge size advantage over you if you go up and down their roster. I mean, they don't have any 7-footers, but they got a lot of 6'8", 6'7" guys. I guess keeping them off the boards is also going to be a challenge for you.
Yeah, they do. And but we're long. We are pretty long and rangy ourselves. We're 6'9" and 6'7", 6'8". So we've got some size too. We will have to be strong and keep them off the boards. We're very athletic. I think our athleticism hopefully will be one of the things that really helps us to be able to get that extra that we need to win the ball game. Yeah.
Well, it's been a series that's been pretty much dominated by North Carolina. I mean, it's no secret the Tar Heel State emphasizes basketball more than we do here, and we don't always have our best players. Am I correct in saying Zion Williamson not eligible for this game because he plays in the private school league?
Plays in a private school, so he's not. His school is not a member of the high school league, so therefore they're not eligible to be in this game. It would be great. We talked about it last night and talked about it with Michelle Dillon, some of the people in charge here. It would be great to have been able to have him, but their school's not a member, so we miss out on some of those guys that would have and could have made us a much better team. Whereas I think North Carolina, they get more of those players than we do.
I suggest you give honorary memberships to, say, York Prep and Porter Gowd, because they're loaded next year. I mean, the 2019 class in South Carolina next year is going to be pretty special, but you're not going to have whoever's coaching the team is not going to have access to a lot of those guys.
I know that's going to be, and that's a shame. We're going to miss out on those people because of those rules in their private schools and things. But I've got guys in the public school doing a great job.
Yeah, well, you will have Juwan Gary available. You'll have Malcolm Wilson at Ridgeview. You'll have Christian Brown at Lower Richland. So you'll still have some good players. Listen, good luck tomorrow night. Looking forward to being there and watching you guys. And remind everybody that it begins at 6 o'clock. 6 o'clock with the girls' game.
The boys follow.
Yeah, and the boys will follow at Hoggard High School in Wilmington. We look forward to being there to watch you guys. Good luck, Coach.
Okay, thank you so much.
Thank you. Tim Morris, who's the head coach at Piedmont High School, and he is going to be coaching the head coach of the South Carolina boys team tomorrow night. His assistant is going to be Jerome Stewart from Timberland High School. Let's see. Wait a minute. No, he's the head coach at Wren. I said Piedmont. That's in Piedmont. He's the head coach at Wren High School, which is located in Piedmont, South Carolina. Okay. Clemson trying to scratch its way back in late in the first half, down 8. What's happening?
Yeah, the game had stretched out to a 13-point lead for the Jayhawks, but Clemson has gone on a 5-point run. Azubuike picked up his second foul with about a minute and a half to go in the half. I think they're looking at the monitor because Elijah Thomas, who I said was getting frustrated with Azubuike, got the elbows up in the neck and face area and may get a flagrant one here.
Yeah, Tigers are having a hard time inside defending, aren't they?
They are, and but it's interesting now. Gabe DeVoe put a body on Azubuike, and as short as he is, he was the one that drew over the back foul that got Azubuike to the bench with his second foul before the half was over. So this has got to be a work in progress, even with the guards working the boards in this game.
All right, don't forget to follow Will's coverage of Clemson on our website, SportsTalkSC.com. We leave you with baseball updates. USC has tied it up at 2 in the third. It's 2-2 USC and Georgia, top of the third. Clemson continues to lead Louisville 3-1, top of the 8th. And Coastal leading Texas State now 8-0, top of the 8th. Pro, have a great weekend. Thank you, Brian, for a great job. Thank you, everyone, for being with us. We'll see you Monday night here on Sports Talk.